Every Article 1, articles are like the sections or the subjects. See if you can figure out how many articles there are in the Constitution. It's Roman numerals. Seven. There are 7 articles. But, so the Constitution is actually this. There's actually page 18 through 30. Is that very long for a document that explains everything the government's supposed to do? No. And most of this is unnecessary. Article 7. What's the word after Article 7? It's in the back. Ratification. What's ratification mean? How to pass it. So that's already done. So we don't need that. Article 6 is just saying that the federal government is going to have say-so over the, I mean, it's the top. It's have say-so over the states. Article 5 talks about amending the Constitution, how to change it. Article 4 is how the states are going to get along. So really, the whole meat of the Constitution is Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. Legislative, executive, and judicial. So it's not very long. We're going to take some notes today over a couple things in the First Amendment. We might do a couple other amendments. We're going to have a quiz Friday over the amendments. It's not important you know what the Sixth Amendment says. It's important you know the rights that are protected by the Sixth Amendment. The number 6 is not important, but what's in there is important. Does that make sense? I want you to know, we're going to have notes. You get to use your notes. I want you to know what the Constitution says you are protected from the government by, which that's the whole purpose of this Constitution, is to protect us from unnecessary government. We've got to have a government. The purpose of this is to limit that government and protect us from a bunch of crap happening. So it's extremely important that we understand what this says. Otherwise, we get taken advantage of. And part of the problem America has today is no one knows what this document says. For instance, no one knows what the First Amendment is. Everybody talks about it, but no one understands it. And people, it's better to be thought of a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's better for somebody to think you might be kind of dumb than for you to just, blah, blah, blah. And, oh yeah, they are. They really are. Don't prove it. Y'all are not going to prove to people you're dumb. You're going to be able to prove to people how smart you are. All right? So, flip in your book over to, I want y'all to look at the amendments, which is 31. There's tan writing and there's white writing. You see what I'm talking about? The tan writing, they made that like an old piece of paper. That's the actual words in the Constitution. The white writing explains what the other side's talking about. So get out some paper, get out a pen, jot some notes down. I know we'll get through the First Amendment. We might get through a couple of them. If you mend something, what are you doing?
Changing.
You're fixing it. Could be changing it. Amending something is to change it or maybe fix it. So all these amendments are changes to the Constitution. There have only been 27 changes. 27 amendments. in 200 and whatever, since 1789. Actually, that's a lie, because the first 10 amendments were those changes. They're already included in it. So we got 17 real changes in the last 200-something years. Is that very much? They did a good job with this. Do we ever need to go back and rewrite a constitution today? Can you imagine the crap that would be in that constitution? How stupid that would never work, ever. It's kind of like the Bible. If this was actually followed, it would work. If people actually paid attention to this and did what it said, things would work great. But because nobody pays attention to it, nobody knows what it says, we got all these problems. There are two types of changes that can be made to the Constitution. Two types of amendments. One is formal. What's formal mean? What's that? Couldn't tell you.
The nicer way.
Okay, fancy. Right? You think of tie, suit and tie. Formal amendment actually changes the words of the Constitution. The words actually, you add words or you take away words. How many times have formal amendments been done to the Constitution? I'll take two different answers. 17. You could say 27. There's only been 17 formal amendments. The only way we've ever done that, I think the states vote on it. It's been a long time. And if 3/4 of the states agree, then that amendment goes to the Constitution. We could call a constitutional convention to do an amendment. But if we did that, they could actually write a new constitution. So that never, ever, ever needs to be done. If you hear of that happening, spring into action, because we don't need that to happen. You know what I'm saying? We don't need America in 2020 to write a new constitution. Doesn't need to happen. Informal amendments. This happens all the time. Formal amendment, the words are changed. Informal amendments, you don't change the words. What do you think we're changing? Our interpretation of those words. You change the meaning of those words, the interpretation of what those words means. Change interpretation. The meaning of the words. I said this happens all the time. What's, okay, I'll just give you an example. In 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson. Y'all all heard of that. You don't remember it. Remember hearing Plessy versus Ferguson? You remember what it was? Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896. The Supreme Court said separate but equal schools are okay. You can have a white school and a black school and an Indian school and an Asian school. You can separate and have separate schools. They skipped the but equal part. When they announced it, they just said separate. Everybody started yelling. They forgot to hear that but equal parts. Nothing was equal about it. 50 years later, the Supreme Court came back and said, no, that's wrong. You can't do that. Did the Constitution words change? No. The interpretation of those words. So what takes place to do this? What causes this to happen? Different court decisions. Usually the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will make informal changes to the amendments. There could be some other stuff that doesn't. Does that make sense? When they say this is okay, they're saying the Constitution says this is okay. Though, when they change what those meanings are, change the interpretation of the Constitution. Let's look at the Ten Commandments. and there's different versions, there's different translations. Some Bibles say, thou shalt not murder. Some say you will not kill. And depending on that, some people say, well, that just says you can't kill anything. Can't kill animals, can't kill this, can't kill. Some people say, no, it says it means murder. You can't have war, you can't. So there's different interpretations of what that commandment means. Does that make sense? Same thing with the amendments. All right, so these two types, formal, informal. 17 times, maybe you could say almost daily, this happens. Very cool. All right, let's fall off the cliff. Someone look at the brown writing there and tell me the first phrase in that amendment. First amendment. Congress shall make no law, what? Okay, stop there. There's a key word there. First of all, there's 5 things in the First Amendment. We're going to look at 5 different deals. First one is religion. But the key word that is Congress shall make no law, ... And there's 5 different things that Congress shall not make a law. First thing is establish. What does it mean to establish something? Yes, that word, we can all agree that word means something. If I talk about, I used to say for a while, I said if I ever got to retire, I'd just open up I'd put a 3-sided little tin shed up and put a grill out and just cook hamburgers. You know, does that establish anything? It does? What does it establish? Me talking about that. How did talking about it establish the small business? Talking about it doesn't establish it, does it? If I go out with T-posts, set the posts, build it, start the fire, what have I done now? I've established. So establish means to do something. Something has to be done. Some action has to be taken. All right? So Congress shall make no law establishing a national religion. That means the government cannot establish a religion. I am the government. How am I the government? I get paid by taxpayer dollars. So I represent the government. If I look at y'all in class today, I decide we're going to talk about what Jesus Christ did for you. That Jesus decided to take your sins on him, and he went to the cross and died for your salvation. And if you will accept that, and you will give your life to him and seek to follow him with everything, and you go away, you're saved, and you're going to heaven, and you will have an eternal relationship with God. Am I allowed to say that? I'm not. Why not? How come I can't say that? What does me saying that do to anything? Does saying that do anything? Does it affect your paycheck? Does it change your life in any way? No. Now, let's take a little quiz. And we're going to have a test on, you're going to tell me your testimony. And I'm going to grade that. What's different? Is that different? Is that now establishing something? Now your life is affected. Okay? If I give you a test grade on your testimony and say, I'll see you in church on Sunday or else you're going to fail this class, is that establishing a religion? Yes, it is. If I tell you, if you're having trouble, if you go spend some time in the Bible, pray, talk with somebody, is that establishing a religion? I tell you all to study for a test. I don't tell you to study for a test. Never. I tell you all to do good on a test. I tell you all to know this. I say do this. Saying doesn't do anything. Knowing about something, hearing about something doesn't do anything. But when you're forced into action, now something has been established. Does that make sense? So in America, if the president says we need to pray, does that establish a religion? No. Does that make sense? Being around it, seeing it, knowing about it, hearing about it does not establish a religion. You being forced to take action. What would be an example of you being forced to take action? About the government establishing a religion. What's something they would do? What's something the Church of England did?
Go to the church and
Or you can't participate in elections and stuff.
Yeah.
What else was being done that really affected people? They had to pay taxes to the church. That's what they're talking about. You cannot be forced into action, some sort of action that affects your life, that changes your life. Every spring, except for last spring, but every spring, the news has some sort of story about a valedictorian giving a speech at graduation, and the controversy is they plan on mentioning Jesus. Can the student do that? Yes, they can. Can they mention Buddha? Yes. Can they mention Muhammad? Yes. Can they mention Satan? Yes. Doesn't change anything for anybody. Nothing has changed. If I tell you how Jesus changed my life in a public forum, school, paid for microphone, that doesn't affect anybody's life whatsoever. I don't like it. Great. Fantastic. Guess what? I didn't like what you said earlier. Let me give you a phrase that explains your First Amendment rights in one sentence. You have the right. Does that word mean something? What was this revolution fought over? Your rights. And you have the right to say or do whatever you want. You can say or do anything you want. Is that where we stop? No. Say or do whatever you want. As long as you don't infringe on others' rights. You can say or do whatever you want as long as you don't infringe on other people's rights. And you have no right. That word again. You have no right to not be offended. You can say or do whatever you want as long as you're not infringing on other people's rights, and you have no right to not be offended. You are going to be offended if we are a free country. Does that make sense? And I word it like that on purpose. What do I mean by that? If you live in a free country, you're going to be offended. Somebody's always going to do or say something you don't like. Because guess what? You're doing and saying things they don't like. I wore a Wyoming shirt yesterday. If you like Colorado State, you don't like that. That offends you. You know, that's fine. Be offended. You have to let people be stupid so you can be stupid. Now, I didn't mean stupid by peeling out and messing up other people's stuff. That's different. That's complete. That's not. Stupid is I wore a Wyoming shirt. Look at stupid. Okay. You were in Colorado State shirt. That's stupid. You have to let other people be stupid so you can be stupid. Does that make sense? You have to allow other people to say and do because you get to say and do. As long as they're not infringing on your rights. If it's not affecting your paycheck, if you're not physically hurt, if it doesn't affect your ability to participate in life, they get to do it. So do you understand this? Not forced. The government cannot force a religion on you. Now there's a second part there. What's the second phrase there?
Or prohibiting the free exercise of writing or freedom of speech.
They can't force you. I misspelled that. What does that word say? Can't. They can't force religion on you, force religious practices on you. You can know about it and hear about it and see it. You might see me praying with somebody over here. Oh, does that affect you one bit? No. And you can't be kept from it. When I say that, the government cannot pass a law keeping you from practicing your religious beliefs. That's your two religious rights. Can't be forced on you, can't be kept from you. Let's say I'm walking to the satanic meeting. We have one twice a month. So I'm walking to the satanic meeting. I missed last week's. So I'm on my way. I realize, oh crap. I forgot it was my week to bring the goat. Oh. So I look around. Oh, Farmer Joe's got a goat. So I go over there, got his goat. We cut his head off. Right? And I get arrested. Is it okay if I'm arrested for that? How come? I stole someone else's property and animal cruelty. They're not arresting me because of my religious beliefs. They're arresting me because of my actions that I did. Is that infringing on others' rights? Yes, I have the right to worship Satan all I want. But I can't infringe on other people's rights. Does that make sense? The Eskimo, well, I don't know if you say that. But if I say something, I don't mean nothing bad by it. But the Inuits, I think it's a specific tribe or something up there in Alaska. They are allowed to hunt whales at certain times of the year. That's illegal to hunt whales. They're allowed to do it. Why are they allowed to do it? It's a part of their religious practices for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. So the government gives them an exemption for it. You can't be kept from it. You can't be forced on it. Right? What if Christmas time at the courthouse in Decatur, there's a nativity scene? What's a nativity scene? Jesus being born. Mary and Joseph, little baby Jesus. See those every once in a while. Is it okay for the city of Decatur to put up a nativity scene? What did they use to buy that? Who's taxpayer money? When you're looking at stuff like this, you have to take your bias out of it. Flip it. Let's say you're okay with a nativity scene. Would it be okay for them to have a birth of Satan scene? And the city to buy the birth of Satan scene up there? Then it's probably not okay to put a nativity scene up there. And people get ticked. It doesn't bother me. But I recognize not everybody's down with that. I can buy a nativity scene. But we probably don't have the right to spend your money on that. Does that mean we hate Christianity and we're not? I don't mind if they put. What if the city votes and they vote to buy a nativity scene? Okay, the city voted. I can see where that, to me, that's some gray area. That's, but that, whenever you, let me find it, somebody find this. I should have followed this one. This probably is gonna have, like, a different language. Just as long as it's older than y'all are.
Dieses Jahr holen wir. Hör mal so. Dieses Jahr holen wir uns ein bisschen geistlichen Beistand für die Meisterschaft. Fertig, Vater?
Lasst uns diesen Moment verweilen, um in unser innerstes Selbst zu schauen.
Auf geht's, Rabbi.
Möge der Sieg mit euch sein.
Medizinmann, bitte. Knicke. Sehr ergreifend. Nicht drängeln, jeder nur ein Gebet.
Wenn's mal wieder länger dauert, bis es was zu...
Forget what they're saying.
Yeah, they're bringing in all the different people panels.
If, right, if you got one, if a government allows one, it's gotta allow all. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, you know, so anyway, alright. It's always funny if you can understand the language. Instead of father, I think he says padre. That's kind of funny. Alright. Next one, after religion. Everybody got religion now. What's the next one? Congress shall not what? Prohibit, abridging. What's a bridge mean? It ain't a thing you drive on. In English. If you go to the library, have y'all ever seen an unabridged dictionary? About that thick, about that big. So what's unabridged mean? It's got everything. Abridged would be what? Less than everything. Smaller. So this says Congress cannot pass a law to lessen the freedom of speech. You can say or do as long as don't infringe on other people's rights. Congress will not lessen your freedom of speech. There's a word I want to put up here. I'm going to cuss, okay? Consequences. Several years ago, I want to say like 2006, 2007, this guy was a salesman. Oh, what he sold, what company he worked for. He was a salesman. And he decided he wanted to wear a dress to work. Does he have the right to wear a dress to work? Yes, he does. He has a right to wear a dress to work. Do I have a right to wear a dress to work? Yes, I do.
I forgot to get fired.
The company told him, the people who write the check for him, who signed the check, if you're a salesman, do you work for yourself? You work for someone else. And when you work for someone else, what do they get to do? They get to tell you things. And this is what you will do, and this is what you won't do. Do I have a right to eat lunch for an hour? Yes, I do. Guess how much time I have? I have about 15 minutes. If I want an hour of lunch, what will I need to do? Find some other job. I have the right to eat lunch for an hour, but I can't in this job. There's consequences. So this guy sued the company and was told, yes, you have the right to wear a dress. They also, as an employer, have the right to tell you how you're going to dress. And you can pick. You can either wear the dress or you can work there. You can't do both. Did that abridge his freedom of speech? No. Because I've chosen to take this job doing this. I'm not wearing shorts today. I want to wear shorts. No matter when, where, what, how, I want to wear shorts. Can I do this job wearing shorts? No. I gotta decide what's more important, this job or wearing shorts. If wearing shorts is more important, good luck buying shorts if you quit your job, but that's how it goes. Now let's say I got a little Titan and we walk into Dollar General and some yahoo walks in with a t-shirt that in letters that big says F you on it. Does that guy have a right to wear that shirt? Yes, he does. Do I have a right not to have that conversation with my 5-year-old? Yes, I do. Which one's more important? They're both equal. We can't say this right's more important than that. All of our rights are important. They're all equal. That's where you got to have maturity and responsibility, which we have none. Right? America in 2020 has no maturity and no responsibility. Does the store have a right to say, we're not allowing you in with that shirt? Yes, because you don't have to shop there. Do they have a right to say, you're Asian, we don't want you in our store? No. What's the difference between wearing a shirt and a race? You choose your shirt. Okay? Does that make sense? You can say, okay, no shoes, no shirt, no service. Are they doing that because they hate poor people that can't afford shoes? That's a health deal. That's a health deal. Plus, some people don't need to go shirtless, and some of them don't understand that. Some of them are proud for some reason. I don't get it, but yeah. Now, I really think what they were talking about, they didn't ask me, I wasn't there. I think really what they're talking about is political speech, political opinions, that you're allowed to say what you feel about a situation and say what you feel about the government and say what you feel about a candidate. I think that's really what they more were talking about, but I'm not saying they weren't talking about everything. And speech is not just talking, it's action. It's action. I got a funny story. And I think I told it, yeah, I did tell her this call. You can help me out with this in a little bit. You were timing. My roommate took us, gave us tickets to a Cowboy game. We didn't care, but little Christy never been there. Boys wanted to go, so we went. They're playing the Raiders on Thanksgiving, and Charles Woodson played for the Raiders, and he used to be a Packer. So the boys had Charles Woodson Packer jerseys, so they wore their Woodson jerseys to the game. And we were leaving. Do you remember this? See, we're leaving. We're going down the escalator. And some drunk 20-year-old, I didn't hear this. Little Christian turns to me and says, "Did you hear what he said?" I said, "No." And basically, he looked at, was it you or both of y'all?
We looked at, that was the first one. I was doing
Yeah. You were, how old were you? Like 8?
something like that.
7 or 8. You know, little pipsqueak. And he said, "What the beep are you doing beep? Wearing a beep, 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 beep." Does he have a right to say that? Yes, he does. Could there be consequences to that? Okay? So, little Christy turns to me and says, "Did you hear that?" I said, "No." So she tells me. So I walked down the escalator. Turn around. I walked down the escalator. He turned around and he went, "Huh." I said, "I heard you made a comment about this little boy's shirt." And the girlfriend just did she take off running?
She went out the door.
Okay. I just said, "I wanted to explain to you since you didn't understand." And I explained to him who Charles Woodson was. And that he used to play for the Packers. He goes, "Oh, Packers, yeah, Packers, man, I love the Packers." And he's an owner of the Packers. We like the Packers. Do you have a problem with that? It seems like you have a problem with this. Do you ever, no. And then he went off. I should have let him just go to town because he was a little 8-year-old. You could have too. Do people, I'm not saying violence is the answer.
But sometimes.
Well, the fear of violence could solve some things. I'm not saying throw punches, but thinking that maybe somebody might throw punches keeps you kind of in line, you know. I don't need to go to Cowboy Stadium anymore. My roommate took me to see Buccaneers play one time. Like And I walk in, and this guy is standing there. He's about that tall. He's about that big around. He's got this T-shirt on, and it says, "F you if you don't like the Cowboys." And this fire just
Teachers, pardon the interruption.
inside of me.
At the bell, I need all high school band members to report to the main gym. Again, all high school band members report to the main gym at the bell. Thank
Pictured
you.
myself going up to him and just saying, "Look, I hate the Cowboys. I don't think you mean that." You know, but I did not go over there. Why did I not? I like my job and I don't want to go to jail. But people do stuff like that knowing there's not going to be a consequence. But it would have felt extremely good. And this is one of the reasons why Jesus looks at me when Lyle comes up, he just goes, it would have been so nice just to, but anyway. There you go. We'll finish First Amendment tomorrow.